Good morning, everyone. All right, let me stop share there. How are you? We are back again. It seems like Tuesdays come around so quickly. I can't even believe it. Okay, so I want to let you know next week I will be on spring break. I will be at the beach. So we will not have a live call next week, but as you all know, keep this time blocked. I will send something, either a video to watch or something to work on during this 30 minutes. Okay, so I want you to keep it on your schedule, even though I won't be here live. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about the ABC buyer script. Give me a digital hand or put in the chat box any of you that have heard what I'm talking about and what this grouping of scripts is. Thanks, Anna. So we have two different ways. Okay, a couple of you. Awesome. Two different ways to use this script, okay? And I'll tell you what it is. This becomes super important where you're at right now in this market, okay? So this is the weirdest thing because this is the first time we're actually going to use both of these two different versions of the scripts in the same market. So I've never had that yet. However, so the first one is for your buyers that are on the fence, right? All of us have lots of pipelines right now, lots of buyers and sellers out there that are thinking about it, but how many of them aren't quite there yet, right? And how many of those not quite there yet are the ones that are going to call you at 5 o'clock on Thursday evening and say, I got to get in this house at 5:30, right? As you carry more and more and more of this pipeline that is colder than it's ever been in your career, right? You're going to need these scripts more than ever, okay? So the first version of this script is in your script book, and it is on page 59. I'm actually not going to share my screen. Go ahead and open it if you want to, and I'm just going to kind of talk you through what this script is, okay? This script takes place during your buyer consultation. Okay, so when you have your outline of everything you're going to go through in your buyer consultation, this is one of the things that happens after they've signed their buyer agreement with you, right? So the first thing is to see, do they want to hire you? Are you in alignment to help them meet their goals? And are they ready to hire you as their realtor? If so, great, let's sign this. And now let's dig into the fun stuff, right? Let's get into finding your house. Let's get into how we're going to look at houses and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so now we've talked about what they want. We're getting them excited. And we're going to say, okay, so here's how this process goes. Okay, so we have three types of buyers that we're working with at all times. And I'm going to explain each one to you. Okay, the first one, let's just say that's the A buyer. Okay, the A buyers are the ones that are ready to go today. They are ready to write an offer if that right house comes up and they need to be closed in the next 30 to 60 days. Okay, so that's our A buyers. Our B buyers are buyers that maybe don't have their pre-approval in hand yet, right? Maybe they have to finish out a lease or something like that. So they're almost ready, right? But if we needed to write an offer when we went into the house today, we would not be able to. Okay. And then we have our C buyers who are super important, but our C buyers might be people who are getting a house ready to put on the market. Maybe they have a house to sell before they start buying something. Okay. So we've got buyers in each of these, and it does not mean that anyone's needs are less important, but our plan of attack for you in helping you be successful is going to be different depending on where you sit. Okay, so Mr. Buyer, let's talk about this. So what I know, right? And let's just say they're a B buyer, okay? They don't have their pre-approval yet, okay? So we're going to say, so where do you fall? Well, you mentioned we don't have our pre-approval, so I think we're probably a B. Yeah, I would say so too. So we're going to talk about what that means, but tell me, how anxious are you or ready are you to become an A buyer? Oh, we're ready to go. Okay, awesome. So how quick do you think you're going to have that pre-approval in your hand so you can become an A buyer and we can really get going? Okay, so we're going to make sure they're understanding the steps they need to take to move themselves up to the urgency. Okay. B buyers, I'm going to encourage them. B buyers will likely have a search set up. Okay. I'm going to encourage them to drive neighborhoods on the weekends and the evenings, right? See the kids in the neighborhood, see how the neighborhood feels. Are people out? Are they mowing their grasses? Are there dogs? All that kind of stuff, right? So B buyers, we're not going in houses yet. C buyers, we're not going in houses yet. Okay, so once you're an A buyer, we will go in and actually look at houses. Until you're an A buyer, looking at too many houses just gets way confusing to all of us. Okay, so we need to do all our homework. We're going to do all of our market research, narrow it down to exactly where we know we want to be and the type of house we're ready to get. And then once we've done all that homework, your pre-approval's ready, everything's ready to go, we're an A buyer and we're going to start going in houses. Okay, so questions on that conversation right there. And if you think it might be able to help you kind of talk through with your buyers where they are. The other thing is this is the kind of communication they can expect to get from you. Right? So that was the other thing. We didn't want a C buyer feeling urgency that's not necessary in the market, right? So we want to make sure we're all on the same page so that when they see that house, they know we're on it. We saw that house too. However, they're not our first call because you're not ready to write an offer today. Okay? So think about that with your pipeline. Okay, and think about how that could help if when you kind of set it up in the buyer consult, here's the steps we're going to take, right? Here's where you are now. Here's what we're going to do to move you up. Here's our timeline for that, right? And you get them engaged in this whole process and really spell out what makes them an A buyer, okay? And it helps you really not have to go show houses to B and C buyers, which we know can get very hard, right? If we're trying to educate on the market by showing houses, right? If we're trying to educate them on the market by taking them in houses, it's way too much energy on us. And let's be honest, it's not fair to the seller and the other buyers, right? Like, let's bring people in their houses that are ready to go. Okay, Anna said she needed this conversation Saturday at 3. Okay, that's exactly why I brought it up, because everyone's needing this conversation right now. Okay, so think through your pipeline. Think who you might need to have a conversation about this with. Have it ready, maybe practice it. And then what I want you to do is you need to think through in your process, what homework are you doing and what homework are they doing no matter what step they're in, right? Those A buyers have got to understand when you are one of our A buyers, as soon as we see those houses, our first and foremost priority is to research it for you right away. So just know, because you're an A buyer, here's what we're going to be doing when we see houses that match your criteria. Here's when we will text you a 911, we've got the perfect house and we're not hearing from you in 4 hours, right? Set up those kind of expectations. So even when they are an A buyer and they're completely ready to go, they know what to expect from you when those houses come in and they're not panicking at work. Oh, has she seen it? Has she seen it? Right? Okay, I'm kind of going everywhere on this, so pull me back in if you need to. Okay, so this is the type of buyer where they fit in your pipeline, and you're trying to explain to them based on where they are in the process, what kind of experience and communication they can expect from you, and then based on whatever place they're in, what they should be working on now with clear expectations of how to move up. Okay? Questions, comments, and then I'm going to show you the other version of this. Okay, so that script is all spelled out on page 59 in your script book. Okay, 59 in your script book. It's right in the buyer consultation where I would likely be having that conversation. And then we also had, so every time I went into a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, I had a check sheet with me. Did I talk about everything important? And ABC buyer was a line on that check sheet. Asking for referrals, ABC buyer, getting the contract signed. Okay, so that's what I made sure that I talked about when I was in those appointments. So that's how you never forget to have this conversation also. It just becomes a standard part of your procedure so everyone knows. All right, the second way we use this, and honestly, I probably should name this something different, but the second version of the ABC buyer script is to talk about what kind of offer your buyers can write. Okay, so now we've got A buyers, they're ready to go out there and write offers. And we still have houses that are getting escalation clauses, multiple offers, right? Everyone's still seeing that. So some houses are sitting, some houses are going in a second. So on the ones that are going in a second, this is the script you need to be able to get on the same page with them about how likely are they to win an offer in this market. Okay? That's what we're trying to get them realistic about. How likely are they to win an offer in this market? Okay, so here's what we do with this one. We have our A, B, and C buyer, okay? These you can edit. The important part is at the top here, okay? Here, they need to know what kind of market are they buying in, okay? If they're looking in a seller's market right now, if they're micro market, you can even be in a buyer's market for a couple areas, and now they've switched, and now that we're gonna see a house that might be one of these, right? That's gonna get multiple offers. You can pull this out then, okay? And say, here's what's gonna happen on this house. Because they're selling between 10 and 50,000 over, right? That's a big range. You guys need to hound that in for what you're seeing, right? If in those markets you're seeing it 10 to 15 to 25 over, change that number, okay? Sellers are getting how many showings and how many offers in a matter of days, okay? You'll have a general idea. If you're writing offers on these, you know we went up against 5 other offers, right? I'm hearing that 5 to 7 is about what I'm hearing from most people. Absolutely throw it in the chat box if you're seeing different things so we can all compare numbers of what's happening. So you want to lay out what kind of market we're in. What is their battle they're up against in winning this house, okay? And then we're going to break it down like this. Our A buyers are the ones that will most likely be considered first by the sellers. And that offer and buyer looks like they have great credit, they've offered over list price and are the highest price, they have probably offered to make up the appraisal gap, they've offered more earnest money than the typical 1%, they may be a cash, or they at least have 20% down. In some markets, they have to have 50% down to even get considered as an A buyer, right? You're talking about when you're in multiple offer situations, what's the one that's going to likely win, okay? And then you can, again, all this will change for what you're seeing in each micro market, right? So are they paying seller property taxes? If they're not right now, you can put in there not necessary to pay taxes right now. Keep everything on here though, because it's a great reminder to you on how do we make a great offer also, right? How do we write an A offer? Because you know you've got all these things you can consider in there, okay? And then some of the things that they may do here, right? A B offer, they might still be able to offer over list price, right? That's important for your buyers to see on paper, right? You are still a really good, strong buyer if you can offer over list price, and you still might not be an A buyer for a lot of these other reasons, okay? So appraisal gap, higher earnest money, right? Conventional loan has some cash to bring. They are not selling anything, right? Okay, so take a look at that. Your C buyers now, right, have some issues here, okay? Now, C buyers are still very valuable. However, my C buyers, I'm probably going to say, we're going to consider houses that have been on the market 14 days or more. Because what we know is that if it was priced right, it would go quickly in the first 14 days. The houses that are sitting longer, they're more ready to negotiate. They've been kind of beat up by the market for a couple weeks, so they're probably ready to be realistic. And we might have an opportunity to get them to consider a C offer after the house has been on the market a couple weeks. Okay? So we still have stuff we can do with every buyer. It doesn't mean you push them to the side, ignore them, anything like that. But it means you set their expectations up for what kind of offer they might be writing. Okay? Here's another way agents have used this over the years. When you're writing an offer, okay, you can lay this out in front of your buyer and you can say, okay, what does our offer look like? We are offering 1% earnest money. So that's going to put us kind of in a B, but we can't offer over list price or just at list price, right? And you can actually go in with your pen and circle these and say, okay, let's get an idea. We're kind of here. So this might be tough, right? B or C. But what of these things we've circled do we have the ability to move up one more, right? So if we circled a contingent sale, what a great opportunity to talk about what are our options for removing that contingency. Do we have a plan B when the perfect house comes that we can become an A buyer to win it? Okay, are you guys following me how we use this tool? Okay, good. So it's a huge tool. You can have one of these for every offer they write, right? And just make sure you continually remind them. Put the address at the top of the offer they wrote it on too, because you know when you're writing 2 and 3 and 4 offers, now you can bring it back to them and say, hey, remember 123 Main Street? Here's what ended up happening on that. This house, remember, got 8 different offers. The one that won was this, 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 and this, right? What'd the A offer look like on that property that won it, right? And so you can continue to remind them kind of each time they write an offer, here's what we're losing out to, here's what we're losing out to, and put a really beautiful picture, information wise, right? Data they can look at, touch, feel, yeah, and then make really strategic decisions on how they might change their offer to win or wait because they realize they're actually in a different market and are a B or C buyer like we started with. Okay. Let me know. I do have this ABC buyer editable on my resources page. Okay. So if you want to go grab it today, get that for the resources page. I also recommend this being part of your buyer consultation also. Okay. I think you should talk about both in your buyer consultation. So number one, here we are now when you're ready to write an offer, here's what we need to remember on our ability to write a really strong offer in the market you're considering. Okay. So this second one was huge during COVID. The first one we talked about, prioritizing your pipeline and those buyers in your pipeline, that was so important. Like in the 2010s is when we were using this like crazy. I mean, we had 15, 20 buyers at a time that you're trying to keep in touch with and just keep on top of and, you know, make sure it's happy and feeling good. And you don't want to lose any along the way. So very strange time that we're using both of these at the same time, right? That we have lots of buyers on the fence and not really doing anything. And yet we have tons of houses that are getting multiple offers and escalation clauses and stuff like that. So super weird time that you'd need these both, but why I thought it was important to bring it. Okay, what questions do you have? I thought I'd go longer on that, but I didn't. Questions? Okay, do you see how you might use both of those? And can you see how working them into your process might really, really help you have some great conversations and set expectations? Okay, awesome. So your to-dos, print these out, have them in front of you, right? Make sure you can get to these scripts you need all the time, and easily. Okay?
Hey, Julie.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, I wound up showing up late, so I
That's
missed
all right.
most of your
The first version?
15 minutes. Yes.
Okay.
Have you recorded this
Yes.
on?
Yeah. So
Okay,
everyone, yeah, absolutely. Great question, James. All of my webinars and my What Would You Say calls are on my YouTube channel. So if you go to coachjuliedowney.com and go to my resources, it'll give you a
right.
link to all my recordings. And it'll take you to the
Okay,
YouTube channel where you can go back and look at everything. Yep.
okay, thanks.
Yep. Thanks, James. And that's a
Uh-huh.
great thing next week when I'm not here, right? I'll send something I think you might need. However, you should go back through old videos and say, ooh, what am I really struggling with right now? Okay, I'm going to watch the video on that script, right, for your next week's while I'm out. Okay. All right, let's open it up. We've got 10 minutes. Any challenges you're having? Any objections you're needing to work through? Any market issues that you'd love to get either the group's insight on or mine, or how scripting could help? Okay. I will stick around for a little while. You guys can have 10 minutes back, go through these ABC buyer scripts in these next 10 minutes, and I'll stick around if anyone has stuff they want to talk through. Otherwise, I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Enjoy the spring. Bye.
Julie,
Yes, ma'am.
I hey, I just wanted to tell you that I used your script to reach out to buyers that are supposed to be moving here, but I never hear anything from them. And I'm
Okay.
like, I felt like I was just being too
Mm-hmm.
pushy because I don't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, okay, I'm using these two sentences and it worked. So
And which one?
yeah.
The drop dead? Like, since I haven't
Um,
heard from you, I'm going to assume you either
Yes, when
this
you
or
sent the
that.
email over yeah, I did. I was like, I'm just
Great.
going to do it. I'm going to do it again. I said I'm not going to do it again, but I did.
Good job, Brandy. And what was the result?
They're still like 90% sure they're moving here. And yeah, their house is on the market. So I have been giving them space because it's like, I know they're kind of stressed with that. So yeah, it's been good.
And it made them respond, right?
Yes.
And
Hmm.
that's what we're going for. Now, Brandy knows exactly how to service these people, right? So this, what she's talking about is the ghosting script, right? So if you
Hmm.
think you've got someone, but now they were ghosting you, whether it be a lead or you've met with them or whatever, right? If they're not responding, you reach out a couple times and then finally you say, hey, no problem, but since I'm not hearing from you, I'm going to assume one of two things happened. In her case, it would have been either you're getting your house ready to sell and you're just not quite ready to look here, or maybe you found another realtor in Indianapolis to help you buy. Either way is so fine, just let me know. Okay? And they were like, oh, no, no, no. That's what you're going to get. If they're really ready to go with you, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, no, so sorry. We have been so busy. Our house isn't sold yet. So we're just not even thinking about our move there. Right? And then, or they're going to tell you that you're right. We've been embarrassed to say, but we did get hooked up with a different realtor. Our company introduced us. Or, right, my sister in law's husband is actually a realtor, or whatever those things are. And then they're afraid to tell you sometimes. So it's either one, they are naturally too busy and just not ready, or it's two, they've moved on to someone else and are afraid to tell you. So just go ahead and ask them, right? And it's kind and you do it in a really nice way, but you just kind of say, hey, where are you and how can I help you? Thanks for sharing that, Brandy. All
Thank
right,
you.
who
Have a
else?
great week and a good
Yes, you
time on your
too.
spring break.
Oh, thank you. Going to the beach. Anything else? All right. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in 2. Bye, everybody. Bye, Anna.